But I want you to pay close attention, because a lot of you, what you've been seeing on mainstream media is all about how they're starving the kids in Gaza. And you're seeing all these images of emaciated babies and kids and people begging and crying. I said, Paul, I want you to do a report for the Flashpoint Army. Go in there and show them what's really, no matter what it is, show them what's really happening. Here's Paul Petit about Gaza. Watch.
The world has been bombarded with images of starving Gazans. It's led to massive anti-Israel protests across the globe, accusing Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of genocide and deliberate starvation.
What a bold-faced lie. There is no policy of starvation in Gaza, and there is no starvation in Gaza.
But reports from the United Nations still cry foul. All the while, more than 600 truckloads of food wait to enter Gaza.
The UN website itself, which says that in the month of June, 2,134 trucks were sent into Gaza. Only 260 arrived at their destination. That means 90% was diverted by Hamas. Now, you want to blame us for that too?
The diversions include countless reports of Hamas ambushing trucks, looting and storing the food as seen here, and selling it back to Gazans. So who is to blame for the lack of humanitarian aid? And is what we are seeing and hearing, coming from much of mainstream media, actually happening in Gaza? Well, for that, it's vital to understand the inner workings of anti-Israel journalism and behind the scenes of the United Nations.
So there's 193 countries. Each country has their own votes, their own policies and positions. So when they meet at the UN General Assembly, sadly, the Islamic group is 56 nations led by dictatorships like the Islamic Republic of Iran, Pakistan, countries that support terrorism.
Hillel Neuer is an international human rights lawyer and the executive director of UN Watch, a nonprofit that monitors the United Nations and holds it accountable to its founding principles.
The UN the other day is counting trucks, only of the trucks that the UN brings in, but not thousands of other trucks that, for example, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which is supported by the United States and Israel, and as punishment for trying to deliver aid without all of that Hamas agenda, they're being attacked mercilessly by the UN.
Many believe the UN has accepted the images and numbers coming out of Gaza at face value, and the media has become Hamas's biggest ally.
Hamas is using this propaganda to score points in the international community, and like a social contagion, everybody is picking this up.
It was certainly being picked up by the mainstream media until the New York Times was exposed for using this image of an emaciated child who was actually suffering from a medical condition as an illustration of starvation in Gaza.
It's a false narrative.
Eli Walgenhertner is a 50-year journalism veteran with both the American Press and the Jerusalem Post.
97% of everything that comes out of Gaza is manipulated and controlled. Because if you are an independent journalist in Gaza, you will not survive.
Those that do survive, he says, are complicit with Hamas, such as Al Jazeera.
Al Jazeera is the mouthpiece of the Muslim Brotherhood. They're all part of the apparatus of Hamas. Even when you say the Gaza Health Ministry, there's no such thing. It's the Hamas Health Ministry. There's no independent Gaza Health Ministry. Hamas controls every single aspect of life. Every single aspect of life.
And Walgenhertner says Hamas controls every single image out of Gaza. But like the New York Times, the veil is coming off. This expose from a German publication shows a photographer showing Palestinian panhandlers with no food in sight. And this split-screen video shows the same people screaming for food on the left, and on the right, they're in a car appearing to rehearse their lines under the direction of the driver, who's a member of the Palestinian press. But what the media doesn't share are scenes like this, food in abundance at the Al Sahaba market in Gaza City. Further evidence comes from Hamas itself. This interrogation video of a captured Hamas spokesperson explains how the press was used to blame Israel for a Hamas missile that struck a Gaza hospital.
In order to erase this story, the organization made several moves. It fabricated a story that the rocket belonged to the occupation and the target was the building. They relied on some of the stories, some of the international stories from the international press.
And according to this former Associated Press employee based in Jerusalem, not adhering to the Hamas narrative can be deadly.
So I was kind of writing the story from the main bureau in Jerusalem, and he said, Mati, you have to take that detail out of the story. And it was clear that someone had threatened him. I took the detail out of the story. I suggested to our editors that we note in an editor's note that we were now complying with Hamas censorship. I was overruled, and from that point in time, the AP, like all of its sister organizations, collaborates with Hamas censorship in Gaza.
Whether it's Palestinian starvation numbers or accusations of Israel genocide, it appears the war against Hamas is being fought on two fronts, on the ground in Gaza and through the airwaves of the media.
So when Hamas releases numbers, whether it's starvation, numbers of killed, etc., they're making up numbers. They're making up numbers. And it just gets repeated and repeated and repeated.
Reporting for Flashpoint in Jerusalem, I'm Paul Petit.